Next, we are going to examine some of the options available to us for positioning the structural members in relation to the path segments. If I zoom in on this left-hand corner and roll the model, you'll see the structural members are centered on the path segments. Let's assume we would like something different. How do we go about changing that? Well, first, we edit the structural member in the Feature Manager design tree. I want to change the location of the structural member in relation to the path segment for Group 1. And that's the group you see highlighted on the screen, but you do want to verify Group 1 is selected in the Property Manager. As we scroll down, you'll see we have a button for Locate Profile. Now, as soon as I select this button, it will zoom in on this corner here. So I'll select Locate Profile, and we can see the sketch profile for the 2x2 by 0.25 square tubing. And we can also see that the sketch profile is centered on the path segments. Now, if we would like to choose a different point to position the structural profile, as you move your cursor around the sketch profile, you will see orange points highlight. Any one of these points can be used to position the sketch profile in relation to the path segment. I am going to select this point here, and you can see the preview updates. If I close out of the Property Manager and I fit the weldment to the screen, this affects all of Group 1, and you can see how it affects each corner of Group 1. Let's go back into the structural member, edit the feature. Once again, verify Group 1 is selected, and then select Locate Profile again. I am now going to select this point. So it's as easy as selecting a new sketch point. We also have the option for Mirror Profile. I can mirror the profile about this point here. So I'm going to go ahead and click inside of the Mirror Profile option, and notice the preview updates on the screen. I'll go ahead and close out of the Property Manager, and once again fit this to the screen, and this affects all corners for Group 1. Now let's assume we would like to update just one corner in Group 1. Let's say this corner right here. We'll zoom in on this corner. We'll edit the structural member. Once we edit the feature, notice we see a dot on the corner of the path segments. I'll go ahead and select it, and a dialog box appears. In this dialog box, you see we have the options for the different miter joints: end miter, end butt 1, and notice the preview updates on the screen, end butt 2, and I'll return it back to an end miter joint. We also have the option to specify a weld gap, and we have another option for merge miter trim bodies. Now, what is this one used for? Let's assume you are going to create all of Group 1 out of one piece of square tubing. That means you're going to slice the square tubing at each one of these corners, but not slice or cut all the way through. You're simply going to slice it and bend it into the shape that we see for Group 1. That would be a good example of using merge miter trim bodies. The last item we see in this dialog box is this window specifying Group 1, Group 2, and a trim order. Notice Group 1 has a trim order of 1, which means this would be trimmed first, followed by Group 2, which would be trimmed second. Let's change the trim order for Group 2 to 1. So now when we look at this window, both Group 1 and Group 2 have a trim order of 1. Let's go ahead and close out of the dialog box and then the Property Manager. And with both of those groups set to a trim order of 1, you see all of the structural members are equally mitered and trimmed. If you decide to take the weldment certification exam down the road, keep this tip in mind. This may appear on the certification exam.